And for more on the situation on the ground now, I'm joined tonight by Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, spokesman for the Israeli Defense Forces. Lieutenant Colonel, we so appreciate you coming back on the show. As you know, there's been widespread outrage in the region over the blast at a Gaza hospital that has killed hundreds of people. Israel has, of course, strongly denied that it was responsible. And I know you've presented evidence to show the blast was not likely caused by an Israeli airstrike. Do you plan to release any additional evidence or more of your intelligence to prove your case to the public?
Good evening. Thank you for having me again. A pleasure. Frankly, I don't think that we should, and I don't think that the question is relevant anymore. This was a fake Hamas event that was staged and used out of proportion, unfortunately spiraled out of Gaza, and as you just showed, was used by anti-Israelis and Hamas supporters to stoke unrest and violence in many other locations. But really, any more evidence needed after we have shown, proven, and also the U.S. has said that, yes, we've seen and we concur with the conclusion that it wasn't done by Israel. What else is needed? Shall we perhaps have the commander of the Islamic Jihad on air and say, yes, these were our rockets? Will that be sufficient evidence?
The Israeli death toll is now higher than 1,400 since the terrorist attacks launched by Hamas last week. But since then, the Palestinian Health Ministry reports more than 3,000 deaths in Gaza. I know, of course, Israel has a right to defend itself. But at any point, do you think that a ceasefire should be on the table to try to avoid any more loss of Palestinian lives?
Well, you know, the best and swiftest way to prevent loss of life in Gaza would be for the terrorist organization Hamas to surrender unconditionally, return our hostages, and put an end to the fighting. That would save a lot of lives and save us the trouble of going in and doing it instead. Unfortunately, it appears as if Hamas is very committed to continue to hold people in Gaza hostage and to continue to fire rockets at our civilians and continue to use the civilian infrastructure for their purposes instead of supporting the civilian population. So it's a very sad situation, one that we did not start and we didn't want, but one that we definitely intend to finish.
So a ceasefire would be off the table?
I have no information about anything about it, and I know that our orders are to dismantle Hamas.
Israel has reportedly killed multiple leaders of Hamas in targeted strikes. Can you see any scenario where a full-scale ground invasion of Gaza would no longer be needed if more targeted operations of Hamas are successful?
So the aim of the war is to dismantle Hamas militarily completely. However, that can be done with the minimal amount of casualties and the minimal amount of civilians affected. That would be great. But based on previous experience and what we've seen in previous wars, not only ours, usually that kind of objective is achieved not only by aerial bombardment, but by ground operations. So in our mind, everything, all of the options are on the table. Our forces are ready and continue to prepare themselves for the next stage of operations. We continue to strike Hamas targets from the air, and we continue to do so while trying to minimize the effect on civilians, because we have said before, and I will say it again, the people of Gaza are not our enemy. It is the organization that controls Gaza, Hamas. They are our enemy, and at the end of this war, they will be gone.
I want to play a video of a young Palestinian and a question that she poses.
I have only one question. We as civilians, where are we supposed to go? We went to schools, they bombed schools. We went to the south, they bombed the south. Where are we supposed to go? Where is safety?
Lieutenant Colonel, how would you respond to that young lady?
I feel for her fears, and I can say that they are there's mirror images of that fear and much more fear in Israel as well. And any effect on civilians is not what we're looking to do. And to that girl, I can say, if she and her family has already gone south, that's good. That is already safer. And where could she go? As far as possible from Hamas. Her parents should take her as far as possible from Hamas activities and infrastructure. Stay away from these vile murderers and people that are cowards who use civilians as their human shields. And if they try to use it as human shields, resist against it and don't allow Hamas to do so. That is my message, because Hamas governs the Gaza Strip. It isn't Israel who governs. And we didn't start this war. We are responding to it. And everything that we do is in order to make the situation in southern Israel better. And I think also, if we'll come back to that lady in a few years, she'll be able to attest to it herself, that the situation without Hamas is much better than it was for the last 17 years that Hamas has been governing the Gaza Strip and created nothing but despair, poverty, war, and violence.
Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, we thank you once again for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.